A friend of the show, a longtime friend of the show, joins us this morning. Our good friend Nicole Dreiske. We love her. It has been too long, Nicole. How are you doing?
She's back!
And you know what? This is really a huge change for Radio Nemo. I am so excited to hear you guys everywhere. I had my folks listening up to say, hey, what happened? Is it off? It really off series? And this is so much better. So really excited for you.
Oh yeah, and
and for the truckers, for the listeners.
I am too.
Yeah.
I am too, Nicole. They get to participate. It's crazy because their ability to ask questions on the interwebs and the newfangled technologies, the conversations that are happening in the chat room before we even get started. By the way, I'm talking to Nicole in media res, as if we've just somehow dropped you in the middle of a mass tactical. For those of you who don't know, this is the executive director of the International Children's Media Center, author, educational innovator, and digital media expert. 30 plus years developing cutting edge educational strategies. She founded the first International Children's Film Festival in the Americas, and got the Academy to recognize it as an Academy of Qualifying Festival. For the first time, directors who made great short films for kids could compete for Oscars. There's a lot more stuff we could talk about. We'll unpack that, but it's been too long. What in the mother of sweet pearl have you been up to?
We missed you!
Changing the ways children relate to the most powerful influences in their lives. That's what we're doing every day with kids. And decided this year, parents need some more tangible help than really brilliant authors and experts going on the media waves everywhere and making recommendations. Well, recommendations are fine, but have they worked on the front lines for a couple of decades, really testing things with kids so they know how they respond? No. So we decided to put those things into a series of books, and that's one of the reasons that we sent some information to y'all, because we want parents this summer to know that there's some fun things that you can do with kids and screens.
Yeah, and so much of that is, like I said, getting a piece here and a bit there. It's very different than to kind of dig in with a book, to kind of sit down. And, we talk about the idea of so many books now in regards to books that are supposed to help you figure out ways to navigate the newfangled technologies, as I called them, really only work is if, in fact, people are doing them together. I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but there ain't no self-help book. There ain't no book about, guiding people in the right direction if the book isn't designed to actually activate in real life, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And these are just activity books. You see, this whole thing, you remember the former Surgeon General, he was on, what was it, Meet the Press? Yeah. And so the population health risks associated with screens, and now that, with AI looming in the distance, you've got these things that are literally pressing down on billions of children globally because you're hanging out with your screen instead of with your best friends. You've got poor language development, and because of poor language development, you've got complete disruption of normal social, emotional, and personal interactions. And you know what? That leads to the risk for lifelong poverty. No kidding. And so the direct physical dangers, don't we all know about them? Neck, back, eyes, worldwide epidemic of myopia. Indirect physical dangers like, obesity, sleep disturbance, chronic diseases. But the dysregulation of behavior and mood has really caused an epidemic of poor mental health, period, end of sentence. And it is affecting greater numbers of children, including kids as young as 8 years old. And because they wanted to get in on this, Stanford just came out with a counter study saying, hey, we know you love talking to chatbots, but the chatbots, because kids were using them for, mental health assist, chatbots will recommend what you want to do. So they can come up with some pretty creative ways for you to follow through on the not so great things you've got in your mind about what you should do to yourself and others. Am I getting my point across here, Jimmy? You don't want AI helping you to F up the world. No kidding.
And
So,
let me, really quickly, I wanted to say something. I was thinking of you the other
sure.
night because I want to make sure people know that movies make you smarter and mindful viewing. I got that right, are the new books, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I wanted to say
And they're
this.
activity books.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I wanted to say this because I was thinking of you the other night. I was so proud of my parents. So my nephew Gustavo, who many of the listeners know because they sponsored his baseball team and all the other kind of groovy stuff as well too. My nephew sat down and watched Star Wars, asking questions from pillar to post with my mom and my dad. 81,
You gave me goosebumps.
81, 82
Goosebumps.
respectively, all of them talking about it. And his father came in and saw them, and he said, after he's finished with that, he said, I'm giving you both permission. He said, I think he's old enough to watch Rogue One if you guys want to do that with him next. But I thought about this, and Nicole, I'm taking you in the weeds here really quickly for a second, and I'm actually complaining about the people that I work with because I love them so much. I have begged, because our listeners know what I'm talking about here. I have begged everyone that works for me. I said, if you want to get a sense of what it is we do here from a movie standpoint, I said, simply go watch American Graffiti, Smokey and the Bandit, and Star Wars. Put them on repeat, and you will get a sense of the cultural zeitgeist in which we exist in, because so much of it has come back. And I keep thinking about the way, what is it, evangelization by example. And I keep thinking about the number of people who can't finish a book and can't finish watching a movie from pillar to post. And I realize how much behavior is modeled off of watching the performance of self in everyday life. Sorry, I had to get all that out there because these books and what you're up to has got me really excited. The idea that nobody can finish anything, between the chatbots and the AI finishing things for people and nobody being able to finish anything. These are what is it? Just like language, you learn to finish by the time you're like 6 or 7, don't you? And if you can't, it becomes more and more difficult.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue, please.
Completing. Well, here's the thing. We're lucky, Jimmy, at our age, because we didn't get our neurons assaulted early, okay? We weren't drenched in dopamine early. And in our case, okay, so I'm going to do my 3 building blocks for how I came up with my solutions. I started by studying peak performance and interdisciplinary ways to accelerate learning, okay? And this is for adults and kids, and with our mutual mentor, Herbert Blau. Okay, then I took on the issue of kids and screens. This was way back in the 90s, because when VHS and DVDs became available, you had repeat viewing. And repeat viewing started to impact the ways kids were creating identity. It influenced the ways they were interacting in the classroom. And it was devastating to early childhood development. But very few people outside of pediatricians noticed what was going on. And you think about it this way. If a child, if you watch anything 150 times, that repeat viewing becomes behavioral programming, becomes part of identity building. So that developmental boulder rolled into our culture without anybody paying a whole lot of attention. And back in the day, I was doing the sky is falling and here's what you do about it workshop. Well, meanwhile, the juggernaut kept coming, and it kept coming with social media. 2 pediatricians saw what I was doing, and they saw it in action, and they said, and you're changing brain chemistry around screen time. Now, Jimmy, what you just described at your home with your nephew and your parents changes brain chemistry, okay? And I didn't know that when I was doing the festivals. I didn't. So that's when I started the ICMC, and I spent the last 15 years putting the accelerated learning techniques together with how to watch a screen with your mind awake, which is what your parents and your nephew were doing. So we've taught almost 750,000 children and adults these techniques. And what they are human solutions for the tech-based public health crisis by getting out ahead of the problem. And Movies Make You Smarter starts that by fast-tracking co-viewing for parents. Okay, so everybody tells parents to watch with their kids. But, honey, what does that look like? How do you start? What do you say? Well, you just saw your parents in action. It looks like talking to one another, okay? But 21st century parenting, well, like all parenting, doesn't come with a manual. So parents keep telling me they don't know how to start the dialogue, that their kids are already resistant to talking. So they just need a few basic strategies, parents, to create the good things they're already doing with their kids to screen time. And so back to that word, together. We do it together. And so Movies Make You Smarter has, tips to make healthy tech habits fun. And what happens is kids voluntarily watch less and make better viewing choices. And they communicate with you. They start to notice their thoughts and feelings about their experiences with digital devices. If we are doing something 1,600 hours a year and we don't know what we're feeling and thinking about it, there's a problem. We're getting pulled in. We're getting sucked into it. And then there's some simple steps for helping use screen time to help kids build empathy and critical thinking. But mindful viewing is different, Jimmy, because it focuses on values. It brings values into the tech sphere, okay? And it's for people who are using screens for, you could say, faith-based purposes. So again, it's going to give you easy ways to get kids talking with adults. That's going to have, mindful viewing has the sensory tools where we're getting kids' energy up and their blood oxygen levels are increased before they start watching the screen. Yeah, you got a body while you're watching, and you should be aware of it. And then we put in new ways to build community and caring around screens. So two approaches, similar, but a little bit different.
I love the idea of, hey, when you come into my house, take your hat off, but leave your brain on. I just want to let people know our good friend Trucker Boson wrote to us to say, I got a couple of pieces of information. You're getting a lot of love and 100% likes over there on YouTube. We do have an announcement to make at I-35 northbound at mile marker 86 in Oklahoma. A truck went over an embankment between bridges. Highway is closed until they pull that truck out. One more time, I-35 northbound at mile marker 86, Oklahoma. A truck went over the embankment between bridges. Highway closed until they get it out of there. Thank you, Trucker Boson, for jumping into the conversation and letting us know that. A lot of folks are telling you good morning. Nicole Dreiske is joining us, and they're saying good morning. There's been a trend, I don't know if you've noticed it, on the Tube of You, which is where we are, of a lot of young people have started watching movies and watching them and commenting while they're watching them. It's a big thing. 25 to about 35 years old. And I got to tell you, Nicole, some people don't like it. Like, why would you watch somebody watch movies? I have to tell you, last year, about 30 of these regular creators, content creators, all of them decided they were all going to watch It's a Wonderful Life. And then somebody put together about 30 different watchers, put a collage of it together of them watching the last 15 minutes of that movie. And watching 26, 27, 28-year-olds who love movies, never having seen that movie before for the first time, burst into tears at the end of that film. I mean, one guy, literally at the end of the film, they ended the movie and he goes, that's a 10. That's an effing 10. That's my effing review of this movie right now. And I burst into laughter. But there is something to be said about, taking a moment to figure out not only where you are, but what it is you're going to do, and then entering the book, entering the podcast, entering the movie to actually, and that's part of what you guys are talking about. It's not just the event itself, but creating a space in which to enter, in which to kind of do the thing you want to do and not be on your phone and not be checking everything else and not standing up and walking into the kitchen every 5 minutes, but really actively watching the thing that you're engaged in, correct?
That's a huge, huge part of it. I think that active watching while also communicating. See, the way we do it, we don't start a 2-year-old on a feature film because that was always totally bogus. When Disney started Robin Williams riffing as the genie, hello, they had no idea, in Aladdin. The kids had no idea. Parents enjoyed it. And but it gave parents the illusion that they could safely go to those things with really, really young kids. And what happened was a lot of kids got ruined for feature films, okay? So that's a whole other mishigas. We're going to leave that alone. What I focus on are the building blocks, and I do that with short media. And as much as I love to build the grit and the persistence to stay with the feature films, that would be, I would be doing everybody a disservice by saying you can sit down and watch a couple of feature films several times a week with your children, because people don't have the time. They don't have the time, Jimmy. So what I came up with, and what we've been testing for more than a decade, is co-viewing, which is that thing you saw, okay, when they were watching Star Wars at your parents' house. Co-viewing with short media, 15 minutes at a time. And so when you get that ball rolling, you're going to be starting from the same mental internal space with a child, with a younger child. So here we're talking, 2 to 10, from the same space that you would when you're reading a book aloud to a kid. And when you're doing that, you don't motor mouth through. I mean, I'm assuming that every parent has either read a book aloud to a child and seen a television show. If you have done those two things in your life, you are qualified to do co-viewing, which is just watching a couple of things with your kids. And I think the really biggest issue is that there's way too much blame. You got to create a no-guilt zone around technology. Who saw the tech juggernaut coming? Even the people who set that juggernaut in motion, Jimmy, all those folks who are on screen in the social dilemma saying, yeah, we created these things. We didn't know they would cause these problems. We're so sorry, after making billions of dollars. Okay. So that's another reason to create a no-guilt zone. It wasn't you. You didn't do it. But here's another issue. Stress hormones. If you're really worried about these things, worried about kids, cortisol will block your creativity. It blocks caring. It blocks curiosity. And it sure as shooting will block your talking to your kid in a way that is interactive.
And it puts 5 pounds on you, too. It does.
No kidding. No kidding. This is so true. Cortisol is a killer. But, if we stop judging and blaming ourselves, we get into this growth mindset thing. And that's crucial, because if we don't believe change is possible, for sure, it won't happen. So just believe in your neuroplasticity. It's there. It's native to you. And take positive actions without judging. So remember, you've already done, I'm talking to you parents, a lot of wonderful things with your children. When it comes to technology and media, you're just going to build on things you have already started. Because the big misconception is that because we use our devices separately, they are somehow apart from life and family development. You feel me, Jimmy, on that? People think that there's this division. The inner monologue goes something like this. I have my family life, and then there's technology. And it's a threat to family life, and it's tearing us apart, so I have to separate it from it. But it's not separate. We have to figure out how to cohabit the tech space. So the first step, stop blaming yourself. Second, trust and believe in your ability to change. And third, build on your strengths and start a real dialogue with your kids about their digital experiences by using something you both enjoy, a short film. Something short. Even a short episode. Go ahead.
This is something, and by the way, and this is the killer for me about that, because I keep thinking about, if you, and it's not like the streaming services or the media is actually not doing any sort of service in that direction. Nicole, I kid you not. I have been on Max and I have been on Netflix, where they're like literally on Max, on HBO Max, which will soon become HBO Max again after they destroyed their brand. They're going to go back to it's like old Coke and new Coke. I can't even explain this stuff anymore. But they literally, like at Halloween, they will literally have the Halloween episode of every sitcom or every children's cartoon, and they will curate them in a box. You can actually scroll down that if you take any active role or participation in your media consumption, there are plenty of companies who are doing the right thing. And I don't mean like we should give them kudos, but it isn't like, well, how am I supposed to curate episodes for my children at particular times of the year? It's like they do it for you. They
Yeah, no
literally
kidding.
do it for you.
No kidding.
You know, and there are terrible reasons to use ChatGPT, and there are terrible reasons to use AI, particularly when it comes to actually completing a coherent sentence. But I'll tell you one that's not. Hey, can you give me some really great Christmas episodes of television shows? And it'll go, blah, 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 blah. There you go, curated. Now go actively watch and discuss. Get out of my hair. Get out of my face.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Done.
And I think the key here is, and I wish I wish I had a camera on your family, but you know, you're not, when you're reading a book aloud to a child, you're not motor mouthing through, right? You're interacting. Kid asks a question, you point out something, the child points something out, you giggle, you make other connections. See that dog? I had a dog like that when I was, you know, when you're watching a movie, a short movie in particular, or a piece that is going to be life-changing, like Star Wars, there you go. Don't be afraid to talk. But it's natural. You don't force it. You see, we can change our whole family's relationship technology by taking it one day at a time. Sound familiar? Every positive step, every victory counts. Doesn't matter how small, because you're starting the dialogue. Okay, so you're sitting down, you whatever you've picked, you're going to watch. It's one of the best and fastest ways to shift the relationship with tech from passive to interactive, from sedentary to active. And when you do that co-viewing, you are creating community and caring around screens. No kidding. By listening to your child's responses, you're validating him or her just as you would when reading a book. You're giving the child confidence. You're building social interaction and communication and thinking skills, all while watching a short video. And maybe the most important message you're sending is that you care about how they are responding to what is in tech, what is on the screen. And so their experiences with technology become part of a family dynamic. They fall under the protection of the family umbrella. And it's fun. It's really fun to do that with your kids because you're going to find out how smart they are. And you can start asking them questions. Well, why do you think that character did that? It's mystifying to you because you haven't seen Coco Melon, okay? But they have. And so they'll know things about these shows that you might not know. And that is a tremendous confidence builder for kids when they notice things, share things with you, and you get to be delighted by how their little brains work. Okay, have I said that enough?
Well, but no, I mean, it's just, but the other thing is too, it's a permission structure. You know,
Nice.
our new producer today asked me if I was paying attention to what the kids are listening to. She literally phrased it that way, and I said, yes, of course I am. But what you do when you do that is, if you're actively watching with people that you love, with younger people you love, you're giving them a permission structure to talk to you because they know, oh no, they've seen that, they have the reference point, but they also might be more inclined to bring their phone over, to bring their pad over, and say, hey, have you seen this? Have you checked this out? Which means you suddenly have a dialogue going on, which means that they trust you when it comes to figuring out both the emotional and the technological side of the new technologies, right?
That you just used the T word. That is, you got it right there. Trust. You see, the adult-free zone that kids get into with their own devices, it's a huge danger to them because then we're blocked out of it.
Nicole, by the way, the second half of our show, the second 2 hours of our show involve my co-host Lindsay Lawler joins us. Trey, can I bring Lindsay in now because she's here? Because this is something that she can relate to because she asks this question all the time. Nicole Dreiske, I know you've met her in the past, but say hi to Lindsay Lawler. Lindsay, you always talk about the whole thing with the gaming system. You always ask this question, and I got y'all here, and we're talking about active watching of movies with your children, but also all kinds of technology. So I wanted to get you guys a chance to talk before we got to take this break.
I appreciate it. Good morning. Good morning, Nicole. Hi. I've been listening all morning, and it's funny. I started listening to y'all's conversation and had some anxiety around. I have a 6-year-old, and I had the anxiety around, oh my gosh, am I doing everything wrong? This and that. But then that being said, I just dropped her at camp. She's at this outdoor physical camp this week where they're doing science and art and archery and soccer, and then we're swimming afterward. And I gave myself some grace toward the end of the interview because I was like, okay, it's really about balance. Like I can't, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole, like the devices are there. It's going to end the video gaming. It's going to be how these kids learn to interact with other people. But as long as we're monitoring it, and I think the mindful piece was big that you said, even if I have to talk to her about Cocomelon, which I want to kill myself when Cocomelon is on.
Masha the bear, oh my God.
Oh God, shoot me. Shoot me if that's on one more time.
One more time.
But I will say you just inspired me to, even when I'm hating the show she's watching, maybe sit down with her and be like, why do you love this? Why are you connecting with it, right?
No, don't start with why do you love this? Okay, now listen, you've got a really amazing voice. Okay, first thing, breathe. No guilt zone. You got to get that no guilt zone going around technology. You cannot function otherwise because you will always come from there'll be this little prickle in your voice, this little tiny bit of, it's your self-judgment that is spilling over onto the child. And I got to tell you, this is why billions of parents globally think they have failed, and they haven't. They're coming at it from the protective posture of parents. That's a great thing, but you gotta back off. You gotta first get to a space that you're calm and safe in. Change starts with us. They can't change at all unless we're cool about it. That doesn't mean indifferent. That just means cool. And so we got to stop the blame, no guilt, and then we can have fun learning about what they know and not panicking, okay, when we find out things that we don't really love about their experiences with tech. It is way better to have that door open. But think about it this way, Lindsay. I said it at the beginning of the show. 1,600 hours a year. If we do not know, if we don't have an in to what they're feeling and thinking when they're using these things, then we effectively don't have an in to the child. We've got these other areas, the live, the IRL areas, the fun, the camp areas, but when they go into those tech zones, nah. That's
okay,
fluid.
I'm gonna give you, unfortunately it's the end of our interview, but I'm gonna give you my husband's phone number here live on the air. If you could call him and tell him to back off of me, give us some slack. We're doing fine.
Nicole, I gotta float you. Please promise me you'll come back much, much sooner so Lindsay and you can continue this conversation. Thank you so much, Nicole. The name of the books are The Movies Make You Smarter and Mindful Viewing. Go to icmediacenter.org. You can find both books there. Nicole, we love you. We miss you. It's and on the Zon of Amma. Thank you, Nicole. We love you. Thank you so much.
Take care.